Hot Private. This is the War on Comics. I'm Colin.
I'm Omar.
Today we're getting into Cerebus Minds. This is the last of the Mothers and Daughters quadrilogy, part 4 of 4. A meta nightmare, a lore-heavy book that does not lose any story going on. I think this is such a good book, right?
We're definitely reaching what I think is like, how is he going to top this? How are we like, he's using everything up until this point. He's not holding back.
Right.
Yet again, it just keeps progressing. So it's going to blow your mind.
Yes, I'm excited to get into it. Shall we?
Let's get it.
Let's go. Sick. Okay, Minds. This is volume 10, which is the 4th and last installment of the Mothers and Daughters
We're there.
series. Yeah, we're closing in. How do you like this one?
This, out of all of the series, I think has been the most visually like visceral. It left me like this at the end.
Yeah, this is definitely like a visual one. I'll give you that. But at the same time, it's so much dialogue. I don't know. Yeah. I definitely love this comic, and I realize Sim's strength is really like closing strong. You know,
he does. He has a spot where he wants to actually bring you.
And this being kind of the 4th of the series, this in a sense is sort of, this whole book is an ending. You know, it's wrapping up the Cerebus.
You're getting all the closure of some things that they've teed up since the chapel.
For sure. Yeah, it's ultimately the battle of Cerebus versus Siren, right? Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be this blood-soaked yada yada because it's these two ideologies that are clashing with each other. But of course, in proper fashion, it's handled just all dialogue.
Of course, yeah.
They're just on a rock in space talking, which, now that I think about it, if you could just have a lot of ideological leaders get blasted into space.
Send them into the void.
And work their shit out via dialogue, that
might be nicer.
Great. I mean, talk about visuals. All this space stuff is awesome.
This is just like, how the fuck?
Yeah,
it's just mind blowing.
Again, you're just on a chunk of rock in space. I've heard it said that this kind of approach is real lazy because you don't have to worry about backgrounds or anything. Because
what?
I mean, I think if we're reading I've heard that said in regards to like a Silver Surfer or one of those.
Okay, I could see that.
Those kind of issues. Maybe you can kind of tell, but I don't feel like this is cheaping out or trying to get out of drawing anything. It all seems to be a lot of work, and this lends itself to animation so well. You can
feel definitely. Well, you're saying the vibe. He's not skimping on his orchestration of stuff. It seems like he's still that's so wild to me that people. Because I remember those panels where it's like a copied panel.
Right.
I think it's come there's more, but this is, look at this though. Like the value of this to me, and what is happening in the story, you don't see this at all in media, or this kind of representation. Like a screen within a screen is fucking rare in a movie, and you're almost. The POV is you're in Cerebus's head.
Yeah, it's sort of I believe the screen within the screen is like his memory of the childhood, and then the rest of it is,
It's overlaid over the original version of him or something like that.
I mean, it's a little, I don't know, maybe that's why you don't see it in film too often. It's a little, I don't know, not a little non-linear, but at the same time, it conveys, this perfectly conveys an impression of a memory of looking back and having kind of, I don't know, the way memories work, right? Where it's things are kind of layered over each other in a way. And
it's like echoes of one, like that feeling is echoed into other memories and stuff.
Absolutely, and that's like a perfect way to convey that in the comics
Darkest
medium.
part, but the darkness of it is done very well in this segment.
Yeah, so this is sort of like the big lore issue in a lot of ways, and I know I keep saying this is a lore dump, this is a lore dump, but whereas
this one's for sure, I feel it.
I mean, there's world building lore dumps, and then there's like personal lore dumps, and this is where you hear a lot about Cerebus's story and how he came to be. That whole sequence right there is about this accident he had as a kid where, Jesus Christ. So Cerebus is a hermaphrodite.
Yes.
And essentially he had this accident with a knife.
Big reveal. Well, this guy knifed him with it.
And so ultimately even though he is a hermaphrodite, he can't have kids, which comes into play a little bit later. I mean, this idea of like hearing, this your parents talking behind closed doors, saying some kind of disparaging comments about you, and then there's little Cerebus. Who doesn't love a little Cerebus, right?
I mean,
and look at that. Your present self, like reflecting on your childhood. This is like, again, a master class in communication visually.
I imagine he's going through this like not epic, but just this crazy private sort of self-reflection in his private life, and like he's so ingrained with these characters that whatever that like fucking cell in that brain cell that is connected to this, like I think feeds directly from his emotions. Like this is so raw.
Yeah.
All this shit and the art of it is really raw in this episode. I'm calling it an episode because it feels like one contiguous episode throughout. Oh, man, and
if you want to talk about not being cheap, like you can't tell me that this is cutting corners by any stretch. It's really impressive. I think there was a lot of photo references with all the moon stuff, which they've used before when Cerebus is talking to the judge, a false prophet of sorts on the moon. And I think this is like a great way to convey, I guess, ideological madness, right? Because in this vast space, Siren, the other component of this duo, is just, basically repeating the same kind of dogmatic structure that is in her vocabulary. And so it just feels, I don't know, I guess this is what those like fire and brimstone preachers kind of feel like, right? Just overwhelming with ideology and dogma. And I mean, that's kind of, I don't know, what a way to convey it, just going all text. It's
just like the words are so important, and like the repetition and how
much space it takes up, and we're blackness. There's a lot of just Cerebus talking to himself, and it's kind of fun. He's trying to pray to Tarum, kind of like, I don't know, figure it out, I guess, figure out where he's
like literally screaming into the void.
Right. And and at some point, you stare long enough, and
he's basically goading God or whatever they say.
And so here's God, who if you want to get really real about it, the guy drawing the paper is God, and so here's where Dave Sim intervenes and starts talking to Cerebus directly, and I really like this. I don't know. Maybe it's a little Instagram captiony, but the whole "you are the baker, your life is the bread."
I mean, it fits too. He's a fucking. I imagine Dave Sim is a very salt of the earth guy.
Right. I guess it's Cerebus is trying to say, and I think this is like true of a lot of religious. I don't even know if it's zealotry necessarily, but just the nature of religion. The name God reveals his true name. You're like, hey, you're God, I'm your bread, you baked me. And Dave Sim, God in this instance, is saying, no, you are the baker, your life is the bread. What you make of it is what you make of it. And ultimately, Dave is talking to Cerebus, trying to figure out what Cerebus wants and all the different directions he could go in. And
like the Jaka stuff that comes up, I think is actually kind of tasteful, if you know.
Right, because essentially he's trying to say, and this is following the chunk of Cerebus where Dave is just kind of laying out this philosophy where it's like he essentially just wants to be separate from women, not really have anything to do with them, saying that he's kind of failed in the matter, and that inherently these permanent merges, as he says, are bound to kind of fail. That's his ideology. That's the ideology he believes and espouses. And so here, where Cerebus is like, well, I want to be with Jakar. And I love this sequence. This artist guy is like, doing a painting of Jakar. It's very, they're showing how they get along and all that. It's a nice ship, I think, Jakar and the portrait painter. I like it. He's
we'll ship that,
for being this bitter man. He's got a romantic streak in him.
He has that like storybook reverence for it,
right?
In a way, when it's all working and it's all feeling really nice, like he does long for that. Like I feel like homie pines for it through the page, like a little bit.
And so this is basically Siren is trying to with her psychic powers.
It's a split of the bubbles and
kind of trying to talk Dave out of existence, and it all kind of comes into what I think is one of the most interesting chunks of the whole Cerebus saga, which is Serna and Siren. So we know Siren to be this lady right here, right? The robes and all that. And what we're kind of introduced to her in this story is Serna. Serna is the aardvark woman. Siren is the person who's kind of masterminding this matriarchy, right? Like this world where women are in charge due to these kind of like wars that have been ravaging Campion or their region, let's just say.
Yeah.
So here's what they call a knitting party, which is or a sewing party. They're quilting. And during these kind of quilting meetings, they're ultimately outlining how they'll govern. And you can kind of see as the thing they just will not tolerate is like domestic violence, right? So this guy this is some Sin City, Frank Miller kind of stuff here, right?
I was thinking manga, some crazy horror manga.
That black blood, it always hits in Cerebus. And this is, some guy who was roughing up his old lady, and the old ladies took umbrage with that. And as the story goes on, this is the kind of thing I would opt not to spoil if we were particularly concerned about that. But given that you're this far into the book, I am going to guess you don't care. So, Serna, which is her, this is Siren. That's right. She, at some point in the story, switches places, and basically, the larger story here, without getting lost in the reads, is basically that history is kind of written by the winners, right? Because Siren just takes her name and title, and she was kind of making this movement a little bit more militaristic, which the real Siren was opposed to. Yeah. And so you can kind of see how the people that start their movements, even if it's with peaceful intentions, kind of get treated by the more militaristic arm. And this is a really smart story to tell.
Yeah, it's got some insane actual mechanics, historical mechanics that would happen.
And it's not convoluted. It's a kind of a simple story, and we're kind of glossing over it.
We're oversimplifying it.
Yes, for sure.
You got to read it.
But it's kind of a world where I don't know. And you see young Siren in Aardvark form, and that's why the real Siren decided to wear robes and stuff, so she wouldn't be self-conscious of her looks. That's just
it goes deep, dude. It's really dark, and it's Is this a segment where is Dave sympathizing with this entity or something? You know,
or kind of. I mean, I think it's really easy to look at like, okay, they're kind of buff people with robes on, therefore it's a stand-in
Right.
for nuns or like Islam or something. It's like it would be a really easy, like, I don't know, analogy to make or something. But the way this story is fleshed out and like as just engulfing as it is, it really gives the whole, I don't know, political sphere of Estarcion, the Cerebus world, like so much weight. And it, you're starting, back in Jakka's story, book 5, I think.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, who are these Sirenists? They're so crazy.
Yeah.
And you don't really know anything about them other than they're really vicious and brutal and kind of have a quasi-dictatorship, theocracy. You know very little about them, but it's only as the book goes on that you know more. And here we are at book 10, and you're learning the origin story down to the individual people, and it's like, I don't know, personalizes the political story, I guess you would say.
It makes it more like the complexity of it isn't making it harder to understand. It's actually unraveling things that feed back. They're always like, now that we're talking about it, I'm realizing the preceding book is always feeding back into the other one at some point.
He talks to this old lady, I think in maybe the book before the last book, and you're like,
Reeds or whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, who's this lady? What's this? I don't know, whatever. It'll figure itself out. And then you realize he's been talking to the real Siren, the starter of the Sirenist movement.
Yeah.
And all these words we're saying are dead to people. You can't talk about Sirenists to a real person. Like if you're not immersed in the story, it's not going to make any sense. It's gibberish. But like, when you really,
it works in the same way that you motherfucking like Warhammer nerds are talking about the factions and all this kind of stuff. Read this, dude.
Yeah, it's very, very fleshed out. And of course, this is Cerebus' response to hearing
it's so
all
perfect.
This lore. He's just, what's it have to do with me? And, Siren is, rebuking all of this, and using her psi damage. And Dave just ultimately reveals to him, look at this accident that that Cerebus had. Thus, Cerebus cannot be a mother. Thus, in her... as per the ideology, he's like null and void to her.
That part.
Yeah,
just absolutely fucking. Where are you taking us, Dave?
Yeah, and he's kind of going back to this. This is a little bit choppy to me. I love the Siren Serna story. I think that's like the meat of the lore in this. But he's kind of getting into this wacky stuff, going back to book 1 with the peaks,
like the golem thing.
Yeah, like why that was there and how he needed to have these like he didn't have all his medallions when he was there.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's a reread issue for sure, because it's like he's trying to say, oh well, you didn't have your proper costume stuff, which this is what he was wearing in like the first issue or something. Realistically, I think this is probably like you just draw characters in a certain way and they kind of like change over time. And I don't know, it's like a problem that no one was asking about. Like, well, hold on now, why doesn't he have his helmet and his sword?
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? But I think Dave just is so concerned with like having one coherent story that I would totally accept, like, oh yeah, those early issues are, like not canon or something. But he's like, no,
he's making them canon.
Yeah. He's like, this thing was supposed to be this mega golem, but because you didn't have the 3 things, because of this other prophecy, then it just flopped, and they weren't able to do this. But that is fucking cool.
Badass. This is what could have happened
if he just had his goddamn medallions on,
and like he painted right.
As per the prophecy,
another like kind of space wormhole that he could have gone into.
Right.
And is that just Dave just being like, I feel like drawing this. Maybe we should go back and draw it.
I'm trying to ascribe some kind of,
But it feels like why is he such a completionist on the, if that's the word, like, of this topic, like
right?
the other topics, but then he brings back the golem, he brings back
Oh yeah, Throg or whatever they call him.
Which at this point,
who's even thinking about these things? Like,
where did they come from in the first place? Then you know what I mean?
Right.
It does bring that up, so it's like there's a course correction, but like you're saying, I think he is almost bringing the other storylines in on a lifeboat.
I mean, I think he would, like, as per the diatribe in the last book, he would say he spends more time in this fictional world than in
I could see
the real world, and that's not like speculation. Those are his words saying that. And they were just getting into some more astrology or astronomy stuff, going through the planets and whatnot.
That's like the Mobius chairs that fucking what's his name, Jack Kirby and all that stuff, right? Like, so it's just he is well versed in the language of comics, knowing the culture, the fucking vibe, everything, and man. Okay, so this is a real fucking dark, miserable, bleak
this is sad. He's like, well, what do you want then? And he's like, well, I want Jakar. Okay, well, let me tell you what life for Jakar is like under you, under your thumb, so to speak. And it just shows this, bleak, miserable,
always pissed,
violent life. Oh yeah, and then he's like, well, okay, so she's miserable, she's unhappy, so just make her love me all the time. And it just shows her like I don't like this.
It's fucking sad, man. It's so sad.
That's the point. I get it. I'm not like,
he's driving it in though.
I'm not calling for a recall or anything. Don't get me wrong. It's just really horrible. So as cool.
It's horrible. Yeah.
I want to see Golem Cerebus laser blasting people. I don't like to see Cerebus beating
just pages before.
An endlessly complicit Jakar.
Is it Dave just like coming back to this character and being like, dude, back in the day, I wanted to draw him fucking fighting this and going boo, boo. But now all you motherfuckers just made me feel like this. So now I gotta make it like this. Like, I'm sorry, Dave, man. Whatever happened. This is like just like the homie is going in.
And this is at least a little more, this isn't as vicious as the domestic violence, just a lighthearted affair. But it's a really, like, all this writing is very good. Some of the pure prose from Dave is a little more miss than hit. Yeah. This, to me, hits really good. It's just him kind of having this
he's thought about
fling with the neighbor, and it's very believable, and it's, you buy it. This is all like while Jakar's out of town, and then, he's fools around with her. And I think it comes, God, this is so bleak.
It goes so dark. Yeah.
Bring it back, and there's her like suicide note.
Basically, because Jakar heard them.
Yeah, or something. She knows what's going on, and it's real spread out. You're doing a lot of work with this text, and it's all very like skillfully crafted and paced right, and. This is pure like EC Comics, like horror. Like, this is how you build suspense in like a scary story, and like, you just see her hanging from a noose. Ultimately, the silhouette. Oh my God! Look, this is
the silhouette. So again, I'm saying he's a master storyteller.
Yes.
The story he's telling might not resonate with people, but dude, it's shit like this that clearly resonates with people.
Astonishing.
Yeah. It's insane. His hands are in the silhouette of this. Fuck.
Yeah, and it's like not fun. It's not cool. There's no power fantasy. There's this character, one of the most, even in a hypothetical, which is what we're in here, death of one of the most fleshed out characters in comics, as far as I'm concerned, of Jakar. It's like, you spent so much time getting to know her background, her childhood, every little detail. Everything. And it's like to see a character you've attached yourself to hanging, even in silhouette. And let's not forget, that's a choice too. Like, he knows, I think, you can't go too far with that.
With the character that he cares about, I think.
Yeah, what he knows the readers care about. And so, yeah, Cerebus is just now that he can't have Jakar, he can't have all the conquering. He's
boom,
kind of, ultimately lost. Can't look at the faith of what is it?
This part was crazy.
You can't have that faith in Tarim, unlike conquering the world for Tarim, because ultimately he realizes that that's Dave, And then we have this. Then we have this sequence that I don't quite understand. He has like a sty in his eyeball or something. Look, I think this is just Dave. He had all this heady metaphysical stuff. Yeah. He just wants to draw Cerebus.
And like you were saying, he's trying to maybe flex a little bit in this section.
Right, and ultimately it's all good because you get Sigma Cerebus bumping the Drive soundtrack, just a fucking rogue, and it's
all the Sigmas in the house say
sound off if you're a true Sigma and you can relate to Cerebus right here. Missing an eye, missing an ear. It's just tough. I don't give a shit. It looks cool.
It's tough as nails.
I don't care.
It's tough as nails. Look at this. At the end of time,
And so, he's just. I think the conceit here was that Dave wanted to have a real conversation with Cerebus. He's turned into a real person in his brain, sort of. And after, showing Cerebus everything that's going on, Jakar with other people, how doomed that relationship is, he's like, what do you want? What do you really want? He's like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Keep showing me this shit. Yeah, I want to be alone. And so this is like so hard. You just see, I think he's having this real reaction. He's like, all right.
And this is so like he is taking a moment. I mean, that's Dave.
Yeah.
And he's drawing himself with the quill, the pen. He's almost like, at first I read it as like he finds this funny.
Right.
And then on the reread, it almost seems like fuck.
Yeah, disappointed.
Like, wait, should I stop? Like,
right, because that kind of brings us to the epilogue, which is
the have a great. Like he just he goes fine,
which is just him realizing he's alone on this like weird snow planet. There's nothing. There's nowhere.
So much fun.
I don't know why you have to cut to the failed relationship with Jakan, that artist type, which is just that's just good art, good expressions.
Yeah. Another little scene into the kind of fold.
Yeah, don't fall for artists, ladies. Here, more talented they are, more difficult it's going to be.
There's a reason,
right? And so this is some classic, just Cerebus in his own brain, prattling off, and eventually gets a hold of Dave. And he's like, just drop me off at the nearest bar. Ultimately, long story short, and that brings us to boom, guys.
Alcohol is free, and there's no last call.
And that's this guy here, which is a nice seamless transition. And here's our Sigma, just parked up at the bar. But that's a story for another time. You got any last thoughts on this one?
This was my probably like where I'm in a happy place with Dave Sim. Like I am. There's been a lot of lore that I understand why he's telling you, and a lot of depth to this. But when it goes that deep, I'm not necessarily stoked to be in those waters. Like, this is the kind of shit that I like.
Right.
Whether it's like, I don't expect a really complex story. I like when I get one in this fashion, and it's working out to where like the macro view is really interesting, going back and kind of taking the time to reread. But man, I want to like see other stories from the guy. Like, what is like a genre-less story that he does?
So you think if I'm hearing this, like the craft is so impressive, you want to see it put into just a completely Cerebus-less existence outside of the world of Astarcion. Yeah. No lore.
Maybe no lore.
Yeah,
and maybe I want to see Cerebus like do some shit, but maybe no lore. Like,
it's I think that's kind of the burden of Mothers and Daughters, is that it is fleshing out this matriarchal society that he's devised in his the world of the Starcion. And I don't think it's aimless, and I don't think it's derivative.
Oh yeah, no way.
And this, I think, is such a good framework to kind of instill that. You're not like hearing it. First of all, having the creator interact with the character as God, for lack of better words, is just amazing to see in comic book form. The way it's handled, just dialogue in the character's mind after establishing that he's in this void of space. It's a very impressive framework, and I think choosing these stories to tell, both the hypothetical world where Cerebus' doomed relationship goes, and also that backstory of Siren and Serna, and how the kind of Sirenists got to be so militaristic in their methods. I don't know. I think it's a really impressive work. I think there's parts of this series, the Mothers and Daughters saga, that has some lulls, but this as a closer is so strong. It's very rewarding, and you do want to know what happens next. What is what's his life at the bar like? To some extent, you could kind of stop reading here if you wanted to. This is a closure. This is a closure.
It feels like that.
Yes, we've talked about all the different directions. It's a bummer of a closer, but if you never have to read it.